everybody, we're back in the kitchen and this is the third and final installment of our cake baking extravaganza. Tonight we are at the fun, fiddly, fondant and final part of our cake journey. So a couple things we're going to be doing tonight. The top layer is going to be decorated with little fondant polka dots that we are going to, some are going to be tinted pink and just kind of cut out into circles. Others, we want to have a little, we want to pick up the gold aspect. So what I dug out was, I have an airbrush, but I don't think we're going to use the airbrush. I think we're just going to use the airbrush color, and we're going to dump a bit of it into a little dish, and we're going to paint it onto the individual buttons so that it picks up the gold metallic. I just don't think the airbrush is going to give us the depth of color that we're looking for. So we're going to try this route and we will see. It's an experiment. We'll see how that works. I've never actually used this directly with a paintbrush.
I'm going to show the thing.
So for the bottom tier, we are going to cover this whole bad boy with ruffles. Now the original cake picture that Ashley sent me, in fairness, was decorated with fondant ruffles on the bottom, which is very different to work with. But we are going to use buttercream and it's going to be just as pretty. So that is sort of task 2. So let's dive in. Let's get involved with our fondant. So special tools for tonight. So we have our piping bag. And we have a large tip. This one doesn't have the number on it. I think it's a 104. It's a very large, it's like a petal tip. This is what you would use if you were making like roses or other flowers, but it also works brilliantly for doing ruffles. So disposable piping bag, extra large coupler, extra large tip.
And the bag is from the Bulk Barn.
Bulk Barn, exactly.
If you're ever looking for that stuff.
We've got our airbrush colors. We've got a little dish that we're going to put those in. We have a teeny tiny paintbrush. And we are going to cheat for the polka dots. I thought we could use the ends of the couplers to cut little polka dots. Fondant. Okay, so fondant. What is fondant? So fondant's basically a edible sugar paste.
That's the box that came in, right?
Yeah, virgin white fondant. So this is what's left from a previous cake project. It is, it's elastic, it's stretchy, it's very sweet. I don't tend to like the flavor of it too much, so I prefer cakes covered in buttercream to cakes covered in fondant, but as an accent, it's quite fine. The difference between like a fondant and a gum paste is hardness and drying time. So your gum paste is going to dry out like porcelain, and it's going to dry up a lot quicker. I think the difference is that gum paste has less sugar and more of an ingredient called tylose, which makes it that sort of porcelain-like finish when it's dry. It's very hard. If there's flowers made out of gum paste, they look like they've been made out of porcelain. It's quite an amazing medium to work with. So that's the fondant. Optional ingredient, red wine, white wine. Not optional for tonight, gloves. And let me tell you, these are not easy to find in the middle of a pandemic, folks, but you do want to use them when you are tinting fondant, because if you do not, and you're using particularly like a red or a blue or a purple, something with like a pinky kind of undertones, it's going to look like you murdered someone on your kitchen counter, so you don't want that. So 2 pairs of gloves. We have our dowel rod. So when we go to stack this cake and make it all beautiful and ready for delivery, it has to be stable maple. Otherwise, you run the risk of it tipping or sliding off when you transport it, which is just a huge waste of time and resources. So we have these dowels. These are kind of stabilizer dowels. They're about 1/4 inch in diameter. What we're going to do is we're going to measure these, and we're going to cut them using a pair of garden shears that I sterilized earlier tonight. And we're going to drive about 4 of those down through the middle of the cake, and that's going to support the weight of our 6-inch tier on top, okay? At the very, very end, what we are going to do to make the whole thing kind of hold together is we're going to take these very sharp dowels, and we're going to drive 1 or possibly 2 of these down through the center of the 6-inch cake right into the bottom so that it holds everything together and there's no give when you're transporting it, because ain't nobody got time for that. So, all right. So that is our plan. So we're going to start with fondant. Glove up, girl. All right. So the cake that Ashley originally sent me the picture of had 3 different color polka dots? No, 2. Just the pink and the gold?
I think maybe the white?
Pink, white, and gold?
Yeah.
Okay. So 3 different colors of polka dots. And I think I will grab my bench scraper out of the cupboard
Okay.
here, just for cutting purposes. It's going to be easier. We're going to get out a fairly small
Do you want me to hold the camera on?
amount of, no, you're
Okay.
good.
All right.
This is how we roll.
This is how we go.
All right, so we've got a lump of fondant, which is quite pliable. I've had it sitting out all day long, so it is good to go. We'll divide it in 3, roughly, with this smallest piece will be the white ones, because I think we need the least of those, because the top tier is white. So first things first, we're going to tint.
Do you want me to do this one?
That'll be our gold
Okay.
ones. That's a whole nother ball of wax.
Okay.
So we're going to do one drop only of gel food coloring in there.
That's kind of big.
That's okay. Now you've got gloves on, so fold it over and start working it in. And you just have to kind of work it with your hands and work it. Woo, that's pink. Maybe we're gonna have to go with a half drop. No, we'll just mix some more pink in. It'll be fine. It's very deceiving. It does kind of at
It might
points.
be.
It's a little scary.
It might
but-
be a. Yeah, it was a pretty big drop I put in.
And I
Let's put
put
it that way.
parchment down on my counter, so feel free to like knead it on the counter and
Yeah.
get it really worked in.
Yeah.
But take a look at your gloves, eh? Like, see what I'm saying about wearing the only way to get this, and I've done it, I have worked on my actually making this one's wedding cake, making coral colored peonies for the
Oh,
top of
gosh.
this one's wedding cake and cupcakes. Working on this surface, and it was 10 days after before I finally got rid of the color.
How did you get rid of it? Like, what do you put?
Straight bleach.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, I shouldn't say straight bleach, like bleach, baking soda paste kind of
So
thing.
you want to have the parchment, because you never know. Like, even if you're.
Yeah. And it's, as you can see, it's not as easy. This ain't your Play-Doh from your grade school days, right? It's hard to get it tinted so that it makes the proper
It takes
color
a
for
lot
you.
of. You really
And
have to knead it.
It's really pink. So what we're gonna do, I think because it is so pink, let's sever off a piece of it, and we're gonna add it to some white, because we want it to be,
I think it's too pink.
I think it's way too pink, yeah. Let's add it to this piece here, and just
Okay,
work
what
it
about
in.
this?
We'll cover that with some foil or some plastic wrap in a minute. We'll save that for another project, but let's just work this in.
Okay.
Like really with your thumbs, like really kind of get your frustrations out on that one.
Ooh.
There you go. So I'm gonna take this one, I'll wrap it up. You can keep fondant, I keep mine in my freezer. As long as it is really, really, really sealed well
So
in
just.
plastic wrap, you're good for quite a while in your freezer.
That's a good tip. I'm just using my thumbs to keep kneading it in. If you can. That's obviously a much better. It's a lighter pink than what I
Yeah.
had.
I think
That
that's
was
gonna,
too bright
I
of a
think that's
pink.
gonna be better. Put it down, yeah, give it a flatten. And then we've got our rolling pin here. Some rolling pins are tapered at either end, and that doesn't work so well when you're working with fondant, because then you get, you know, odd thicknesses throughout, but you want something that's gonna give you even. So, what I like to do is kind of roll, whoops. It is a little challenging when you do have parchment on your counter. We'd probably be okay without the parchment now. Gonna roll, and then we'll give it a little turn. I think we'll add some cornstarch as well. Cornstarch is a very handy thing when you're working with fondant, because especially in heat like this, it starts to stick. You know what, let's bail on the parchment because the color is not gonna transfer now to my counter.
Just kind of roll it.
So roll it and then give it a quarter turn, the whole thing. Yeah, you gotta roll the whole thing, because otherwise, see, you're getting thick on this side. And,
Okay.
yeah, roll the whole thing. Quarter turn.
Oops.
For the purposes of this cake, I would say we're gonna go for,
Looks pretty thin.
that's probably good. So I'm gonna bring my
Very
parchment
thin.
back. Yeah, it's probably about like 1/8 of an inch, which is what we want. So I'll let you cut with the ends of these piping tips.
Sure.
Polka dots of varying sizes, and I'm going to just get a little bit of warm water and our paintbrush, and that's what we're going to use to apply them to our. And then while you're doing that, I will just start applying them. Doesn't really matter, the sides are kind of immaterial. And I don't think we're going to need as many spots as we have fondant rolled out there, but We shall see. So all it takes is a little bit of water. You can also use vodka or gin, a clear alcohol on them. Like I said, that's going to evaporate. Excuse me. It's going to evaporate and you're not going to have to worry about the taste of it. All right. This little girl is the cutest little thing, honestly. She is like the dang Gerber baby. She's so cute.
She's got the cutest rolls.
She does. And isn't it funny when you're little and tiny how rolls are cute, and yet
Oh.
when you're our age,
They're cute.
need I say more?
Yeah, I know.
Rolls not so cute.
That's what my mom says. Shout out to Teresa Martin. That's what she just said today. She's like, Mom, if you're watching the video, hi. I'd like to dedicate this to my mom, who doesn't have faith in my baking.
Oh, well, she's gonna have to eat
She'll be
her.
watching this.
She's gonna have to eat her words because you're doing a fantastic
That's right,
job.
Teresa.
Oh, and she's on the first name basis. Mom, you know you're in trouble. All right, so I'm gonna mix our gold coloring and see what we come up with. All right, let's see now if our experiment is going to work. We're gonna take our, you know what, that might not be too bad.
Ooh, that looks great.
Okay, so
That's nice.
I feel like it would be better to let it dry a bit before we try and put the gold ones on. But let's see if we can show the camera here. So we have painted these with our airbrush food coloring, so it's edible airbrush paint. All right, so while she's doing that, I'm going to move on. We're going to top dowel rods, and we're going to get this cake stable Mabel, because no sense in putting all this work into it only to have it crumble. So our stabilization dowels are the 1/4 inch. It really is kind of an eyeballing game. You don't want your dowels sticking up over the top of your cake. You want them to be kind of right at the level, which is not very tall. All right. That is about 3 inches, which makes sense because that is the depth of our pan. And that, folks, is all we were talking about. And down they're gonna go. Yep, perfect. They sit right flush with the top of the cake. You just kind of want to adequately distribute the weight of your top tier.
And how are you judging where you're putting them again?
I'm just putting them really in the center so that when we sit the 6-inch tier on top, all that weight is going to be supported by those little dowels. There's not really, I mean, for me, there's not really a rhyme or reason. I just kind of bumped that icing there so I can smooth it out. Let's have another look. All right. All right, I don't think we're gonna add, do we add the top tier and pipe around it, or do we pipe first and then add the top tier? I feel like we should add the top tier and then pipe around it. I feel like that's gonna be
Is that
easier.
going to be easier? Then
I feel like it's gonna be
we're
easier.
not going to get anything on it.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
All right, here we go. It's kind of an eyeballing game because once you put it down, you really don't want to move it.
Okay, so I've got some of these.
Yes.
Do you want me to just paint these pink?
Yeah, try some of those as
They're
pink,
going to look nice.
and we'll see how they work out.
Yeah, that's cute. Sorry, I was confused. I thought you meant over the gold.
So as you can see, right now there is a tiny bit of a gap, and that's fine. That's totally fine. It just means that one of our dowels is sticking up just a little higher, or maybe two are sticking up just above the surface of the cake. That's totally fine. We can fix that in production, so to speak. Okay, moment of truth.
Oh, that's pretty.
There we go, and it's going to go right down through the cake board. Cut it too long. Sorry.
So you never have to do anything with the fondant then, right? It's just when you buy it, it's ready to go, sort of.
Right. You have to knead it.
Just for,
Yeah.
well, no, obviously knead it, but like you don't have to. Like it stays at room temperature and.
Yeah. Until you're ready to use it, yes, I would. Yep. All right.
That's pretty, eh? That's got like a little sparkle.
Yeah, it's funny how
I
much
just
it
thought
picks up.
having a bit more pink would be like making it a little bit more
Little girly.
darker. That looks pretty.
So those, because they are water, are going to need some time to dry
Mhm.
before we put them on the cake, because we do not want them. Let's see how the gold ones are coming. They're coming not too bad, actually. So, however, we're going to move them over to the table. I'm going to put a fan on. We're going to get the fan going. And now it comes to the time we're going to be doing the piping of the ruffles. So, we're going to fill our bag, first of all. So, I find bigger bags are easier to work with initially, but you want to roll a nice collar, and then you want to do this one of two ways. If you feel better, oh, Andrew used all my tall glasses today. Let's do the dishwater. You could put it in a glass, and then you can just kind of fill your icing into it like that in a glass, or just hold it. So I'm going to get you to just hold it. So slip your hand up in there and kind of support the neck of that. Break open our icing, which is at room temperature and looking great. So if you were filling it yourself, you'd kind of reach down in and scrape it off. Reach down in, scrape it off. Now, because this is a huge bag, don't get hung up on thinking you've got to fill a huge bag. It's not the way to go. Trust me, you're going to want to just fill it like half to a third of the way. And then just like we talked about the other day, whoops, we don't have our tip on here. That would be problematic. Where is our coupler? Here it is. So tip goes on the bag. Coupler goes over the tip. Locks the bag into place so that when you squeeze, you don't have icing coming everywhere. All right, so for this particular tip, how you get a ruffle is you want to have the wide end of the tip, which is the bottom here. Hello, darling. He makes an appearance in several of my videos.
I know. My mom was saying he was making faces behind you and he didn't notice. Oh my gosh,
This way.
just kind of out and in and out and in.
Yeah. Okay, so you can see we're starting to get our ruffle pattern here. Okay, so bulk end of the wide end of the tip against the cake, just barely touching. The other narrow end slightly extended from the cake. And there you go. You can see how. Are you liking the way that's looking?
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
Okay. Your turn. Your turn. Your turn, young grasshopper. Okay.
Okay.
So
Oh my gosh.
let me step in here. Hold on. Nope, we're gonna start right at the bottom because these ones are gonna lend support to all the ones you do on top. Okay. So first of all, let's make sure we got it upside down.
Okay.
Wide end at the top. Okay. Barely touching the cake with the bottom extended at like, let's say 30 degrees.
Okay.
Okay. And then in and out, up and down kind of thing.
Now these ones look wider.
They,
That's just
it's a difference in my piping versus,
okay, and then up.
yeah. Okay, not digging into the cake, just barely touching. Good.
Okay.
Yep. And then do another row. Good. Now, when you do it, when you finish off, try not to pull off at the top like that, because otherwise you're going to end up with those funky tips. So what I'm doing now, I'm extending a little bit further from the bottom. So just extend, hold it about like here,
Mhm.
up and down, up and down, up and down. Gentle pressure on your bag, okay?
Okay. Wait. This way.
Nope,
Oh, you did it.
nope,
Yeah.
sorry, you were right.
Yeah,
I was
okay.
looking at it the wrong way, sorry about that. So yes, wide end, not touching the cake, but extended out, up and down, up and down, up and down, and then one more layer on top of it.
Oh, one more.
Yeah, it's okay, don't worry, I know we only have 3 over here, it's, no one's gonna notice. Excellent. All right, let's do our cake, we'll turn it so people can see what we've been doing. Ruffles, ruffles. Now you're gonna put one more layer on top there.
Just like that. So barely touching.
Barely touching, yep. Excellent. Look at you. Buttercream diva, there you go. All the way to the end, but yeah, all the way to the end of this section.
Okay.
All right. All right, start here.
At the top?
No, sorry,
Oh,
at the bottom. Little ruffles, yeah, okay. Next row. Yep,
I wonder if they're too big.
it's all good. Next row.
How do you make them smaller?
Smaller tip.
Okay. And then one more on the top?
Yep, one more on the top.
Oops.
I know, dog right under your feet. All right, that looks
That was a little bit.
adorable. That's okay, you can just fill in any spots that you think are not maybe to your liking. It's fine. Okay, we're back. We're in like the final stages. So we found a pretty piece of a ribbon here that we have just used a little bit of water against the buttercream, and that is enough to stick it to the cake, and it conceals that bottom edge of the cake quite nicely, so pretties it up just a little bit more. So this is the front of the cake that's facing the camera, and now Ashley's going to apply the little circles. So just let me paint on the
Yep.
back there a little bit, okay, and stick her wherever.
Fit there?
Sure.
I'm wondering.
Should.
Uh-oh. It's a little.
It's all good. Yep, it's all good. It's a dark gold, so you have to sort of get used to that. But let's keep going. Let's do a little small one here. It's looking good. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks good.
Are you liking it?
Yep, I think that's really good with the gold.
It does, yeah. And it's gonna look really nice. It'll sit overnight. We'll put it in the fridge to keep it chilled. And yeah, that's gonna be excellent. Okay, now
Are these all?
garbage. We'll just
Okay.
garbage that whole thing. We'll be done with that. And tomorrow, before I deliver this cake to Ashley, we will take a picture with the cake topper. Actually, want to show them the cake topper?
Sure. So we're trying to decide. I have this one. And it's a gold cake topper, and it says 1. And then we might actually put this little. It's supposed to go on her head. It's a little crown, but we might put that on the top too.
Totally cute on the
So
top. Yeah.
Lots of cute options.
Yes. So this has been. What have you enjoyed it? Have you had fun?
Oh yes, it's been fun. Yeah.
Good. Are you surprised by what it takes?
Yes. I can appreciate now why cakes cost as much as they do when you go to bakeries, because by the
Mhm.
time you, and thankfully Nancy had a lot of the tools, because that would have been another added cost, but by the time you buy all the ingredients and the amount of time it takes, it's a process, so
Yeah.
I can appreciate now paying why cakes at bakeries cost that much.
For sure. Well, it's been fun baking with you.
Yes, thank
I
you.
haven't done, you know what? I haven't done a fancy cake since your wedding. So, history comes full circle.
We'll do this every year. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm kidding too. So yeah, it's been fun, and stay tuned for the final finished pictures, which will be taken both here and also at the party. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So here is the finished and final product ready to go to the birthday party. It weighs a ton. It's going to feed about 20 people, so I guess it needs to weigh a ton. And I think Ashley did a fantastic job for someone that has never really tackled a cake of this nature before. She did a good job, and she was a very good student. So hope you've enjoyed watching this, and we'll see you back in the kitchen again soon.